Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadtour.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Make sure you're still taking your chaga, your C60, your vitamins. Vitamin D is the biggest. They're going to try to pull some bullshit about everybody getting sick this winter. Of course, as usual. We are headed into some crazy times. But first, I will be live today, October 13th, Thursday, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, with our friend Jean-Claude over at his channel, Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic 3. And I'm very excited that Will Lair of Perpetual Assets is going to be there as well. Should be a great discussion if you like silver, if you like cryptos, if you like analyzing what the hell's going on. I will be giving up some secrets from the road to Ruta today, hopefully. At least what I'm doing right now. We're in the final days of preparation for what's going on. We just got a huge CPI print, and everybody's freaking out. Now, remember, let me show you this for 1 second here. Actually, first, I did a Jenny Moonstone discussion yesterday. I posted it on YouTube, and then the second half, all silver secrets revealed, and the forgotten silver you can buy for cheap. There is a form of silver that you can get still for cheap, which is crazy. So go check that out at roadtoruta.com. All right. Silver got slammed this morning. I talked about yesterday. They're going to come out with a CPI. They're going to either make it very bad or very good. They made it very bad. The Biden and the Democrats were hoping for under 8%. It came in at 8.2, which is much higher than what everybody was thinking. Even with the crashing of the oil and gas prices and gasoline prices last month. So September had crashing oil and gas prices and inflation still high. Now we're looking at rising oil and gas prices. So what the hell is inflation going to do? All the way up into the election time. Most of this stuff is coordinated around the election. What does this tell you? It tells me that the good guys are still in charge. The Biden administration, if they had control, could put CPI at any number they want. They could put it down to 7.5, 6.5, 5.5. It doesn't really matter because it's not a real thing. Whoever controls the reporting system, it's clearly not the Democrats, and they're supposed to be in charge. So I didn't even know if it's the Republicans. It's probably something different. This is a big plan. And it is destroying the United States of America. This will give Fed the okay to raise rates again. Estimates have gone up to now 1%. Again, they have to go above CPI even to slow down inflation. When Paul Volcker did it in 1980, he raised interest rates above the rate of inflation by like 1 or 2 points. And it still took 3 years, even going up to 20% inflation of Fed funds rate. 20%, and it still wasn't enough. I think he went to 18, actually. It still wasn't enough because it still took 3 years to get inflation under control. And so the Fed is way behind. And of course, we know what will happen when the Fed has to succumb to, oh my God, we have to raise rates to 20%, but it'll be too late. Way too late. So inflation will keep running right along, and anything over like 5 or 6% Fed funds rate is going to destroy the housing market. We're in bubble central too. Don't forget about that. The UK is falling apart. The United States, behind the scenes, these banks are insolvent. By the way, there's bailouts going on left and right everywhere in the world, but it's not enough. It's the derivative problem that is the key. Keep an eye on Blythe Masters at Credit Suisse. She kind of is trying to hold this shit together. She has her own out. Ginny and I did a great reading on Blythe. Go check that out on the private road at Road to Ruta. Yes, Blythe Masters is the one that created credit. She didn't create credit default swaps, but she was definitely the champion of credit default swaps at JP Morgan in the 90s and the 2000s leading up to the crash, that was one of the main features of the crash was the credit default swaps. What credit default swaps do, and people say, well, yeah, it's just a way to hedge exposure for a credit. So if you loan someone $1 million and you take a CDS, a credit default swap out for $1 million on that credit surviving, you think you're even, which is, when it gets out of hand, because they're also traded on a derivative market. It is a derivative traded on a derivative market. So that one credit default swap gets traded between 15 different traders, and it all comes down to the weakest link in that game. And the weakest links are falling by the wayside. Credit Suisse is a huge, huge counterparty to all derivatives, which will take down everything. So that's why she was put there. And this year, remember that Jerome Powell was in charge of fixing the Bankers Trust problem in the 1990s with their derivative book of Bankers Trust was about to blow the system apart. So Jerome Powell was in charge of selling that or transferring that derivative book over to Deutsche Bank. That's exactly what happened. A lot of fraud, but that's why Jerome Powell got put as the head of the Fed. They knew there was a derivative problem. They knew it was all coming to a head, and now it's coming to a head. So we're going to live through it. It's going to be ugly. Get your physical silver in your own possession. If you don't have any right now, call Andy Scheckman as fast as you can. Send him an email, andy@milesfranklin.com. Get your physical silver. Get your physical silver. They had a nice slam down. Again, here it is right here, the slam down on the CPI number. It is all 100% faked. Remember, the commercials have gone short again. They were long, and everybody's like, oh my God, they finally went long. They went short again, up to 100 million ounces in the last few weeks. Now we're going to find out tomorrow on Friday what the COT says they're doing. I think they're covering those shorts. I figured yesterday, I think I said 9,000 contracts will be covered, which is a big number. But with this slam, they could cover them all. They could cover them all by the end of, so it wouldn't be this reporting week, but it would be the next reporting week. And you might ask who's on the other side? BlackRock, Citadel, everybody in the cabal, because they just trade back and forth with each other. All this is done with high-frequency trading programs, mostly run by Vinny Viola of Virtu Financial. Vinny Viola of Virtu Financial. I pointed these guys out, had to be 15 years ago, when they weren't even called Virtu Financial. They were called EWT LLC. Vinny Viola ran, I think it was the NYMEX, and then Bernie Madoff ran the NASDAQ, and they both went off and started computer rigging companies for the cabal. And that's kind of where they got their power. Obviously, Bernie Madoff was taken down. People don't know anything about what went on with Bernie Madoff. There was the Bernie Madoff office, and then right below it was the deep state computer market rigging programs. So that's the way our world works. Madoff gone, Vinny Viola's still there. Trump tried to bring him into the limelight by asking him to be the head of the, I think it was the head of the Army, the U.S. Army. He wanted him to lead the Army. I'm like, why? Because this is a guy who got thrown out of West Point during the 1970s scandal, or almost thrown out. It's unclear what really happened. This was the big cheating scandal at West Point. And, of course, Vinny Viola. It just sounds like a mafia name, doesn't it? Vinny Viola. He looks like a mafia guy, too. Was knee-deep in that shit. Anyway, that's where we are, my friends. So they slam silver. No problem. Cheaper silver for you. Again, Andy@milesfranklin.com. He'll send you his pricing list. Get it now. I've been saying this for years. You better be 10, 20, 30 years early than 1 second late. When the COMEX shuts down, nobody's going to know the price of silver, but it's going to be into the hundreds, maybe even the thousands. Ultimately, they'll go 1-to-1 with gold, and I think gold will go to 5,000. I think gold will go to $5,000, even though there's massive amounts of gold, because there's much more U.S. dollar and U.S. dollar derivatives. So yeah, I'm looking for 1-to-1. Right now it's like 85. What is the gold silver ratio right now? Let's look at the ratio. We're looking at, I think it's around 85. 88-to-1. Holy crap. I mean, look at this ratio, just all data. There's spikes. 99% of the time, it is under this mark right here, under 80. And right now we're at 88. So if you have any gold, if you have gold fillings, melt them out. Not the gold fill. They're not 100% gold. But if you have any gold, it is time to swap for silver. At 88 to 1, you can't beat that. And he does that, by the way. If you have, let's say you have a roll of, a tube of gold eagles. What a great time to swap the gold eagles for silver. And on the private road, I tell you what kind of silver, because it's so important. The kind of silver you get right now. And you want to get it cheap, but there's another factor involved in that. And I talk about that with Jenny, and we get a reading on that. I was like, holy shit. So go check that out. Anyway, so yeah, they're slamming silver today. They're slamming Bitcoin today and all cryptos. Remember, these are all under computer programs, rigged, 100% rigged. Vinny Viola is running the machine right now. These programs were invented by Alan Greenspan in the 1960s and 70s. He's the guy who invented electronic assets. He blames himself for Y2K. Most people don't even think about that. They don't even know that Greenspan was a huge gold bug back in the 60s and 70s. Like the biggest gold bug. But in the early 1970s, his mentor, Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed, was his mentor, got him to implement computer trading programs through the Fed Boston, with the assistance of quite a few people at the Fed Boston. But it was all done on hush-hush, secret. Stephen DeVoe at the Fed Boston, completely unknown guy to most people, but completely exposed by the Road to Ruta, the documents that he published about, he was a computer expert. And he was in charge of the project implementation to implement the trading programs to rig markets. And that's where we've been since the 1970s. Most people don't know that. That's why in 2 months after Alan Greenspan got into office in 1987, there was this huge, you remember the Black Monday 1987 crash, all computer driven by Greenspan. That was the plan, destroy the system. And he said, oh shit, these guys are a lot more embedded than I thought. So we'll bail out the system. We need something big to take these guys down. That's when they let the banks go into the markets, invest in anything they wanted, and the derivative bubble was blown to 2 quadrillion. Now the 2 quadrillion derivative bubble will take everything down. Warren Buffett calls the weapon of mass financial destruction for good reason. And by the way, if you're wondering who's taking all this physical silver, Warren Buffett. He's already contracted it out, and he's been taking it for a year and a half. He's got another about 3 or 4 months left in the derivative world. And these, you can see the derivatives at the OCC data, Office of Comptroller of Currency, Bank of America, which Warren Buffett, all of a sudden, his favorite bank was Bank of America, took out a 1.2 billion ounce silver derivative position. All that silver is ending up in the pocket of Warren Buffett. And I think it's going to go back to the U.S. Treasury, and they're going to make silver eagles with it. But that's my own take. But, a lot of people starting to find out, oh, my God, it is Buffett. Just like in the late 1990s, they knew someone was buying silver. They didn't know who it was. It turned out to be Warren Buffett. This is the same thing. The reason Buffett bought silver was the supply-demand issue in the 1990s. And he said it many times when he talks to his people every year. He says, I bought it because, we were in a supply-demand deficit. Silver is now again in a supply-demand deficit. It was for the last 2 years, and it will continue to be until this game is over. So definitely, if you think Warren Buffett knows what he's doing in the silver market, which of course I do, but he also knows what it'll do to the system, the derivative bubble. He's the guy who labeled it weapon of mass financial destruction, and it's never been bigger. The derivative market has never been bigger. Yes, absolutely 100%. It's Warren Buffett that is taking physical silver off the market month by month, week by week, but he's not doing it. It's already contracted out. People are thinking Credit Suisse is involved. Definitely Bank of America is involved. And Bank of America is not even sweating it because they've already contracted out the back end. The only thing that matters is where this silver is ending up. Where is it delivered? So every month, Warren Buffett's taking millions of ounces of silver off the market. Every month, millions of ounces of silver. Probably like 50 or 100 million ounces of silver. which is scary to think about, but it's the reality. It's the silver that JP Morgan stored up for 8 years of rigging the market. It is now going to Warren Buffett contractually. And so it doesn't matter where the price goes, except for the people having to find that silver and deliver it. And that's getting to be harder and harder. Remember, the fourth quarter of last year was the biggest Bank of America silver derivative ad out of anybody ever. It constituted over 380 million ounces on a 1-year derivative contract. So that derivative contract is expiring right now and for the next 3 months. Keep that in mind. These are less than 1-year contracts. OCC data does not lie. They try to hide it. Number 2 guy at the OCC is a JP Morgan guy. He's trying to hide it, but we know what's going on. Massive silver deliveries this quarter. Massive. That's why you see all the inventories disappearing. Wait till you see SLV disappear to nothing and be frozen. That'll be interesting. All right. CPI, horrible CPI has some bracing for jumbo hikes as Wall Street reacts. I took a look I love looking at Fox News and CNN because that gives you two sides of the political spectrum, how they're going to spin this. Fox News, it says, let's see where, Fox Finance. U.S. retirees to see biggest Social Security bump. Inflation remains hot, 10-year highs. Inflation remains hot, 10-year Treasury hits 4%. So they're not blowing it up that big. That's interesting. Whereas CNN says it's all about Social Security. Yeah, 8.7% cost of living increase for Social Security people. 8.7% of nothing is nothing. Social Security is a ridiculous joke. That is the worst thing about what Greenspan did over the past 50 years of rigging markets. Because Social Security is tied to the CPI, they only get increases if CPI goes up. But the problem is the CPI, Consumer Price Index, is rigged. So they should be getting 20% increases every month just to keep up. And instead, they're getting these tiny bumps, and over 50 years, that really adds up. That's why Social Security numbers you can't live off Social Security. It was supposed to be the security for you going into your retirement. And Alan Greenspan was in charge of that, and at the same time, he was in charge of rigging the markets. It was Ford put Alan Greenspan in charge of fixing the Social Security system with Arthur Burns, and complete failure. If you're older and living in America, you are fucked. And just wait till your pension goes away and your 401k. We'll be talking about that. If you're interested in doing a self-directed IRA where you get your assets in your own possession, go to perpetualassets.com and ask for Will Lair. He will walk you through the process if you have an IRA. Or you can set up an IRA. You are in charge of that IRA. It's a little-known rule that the politicians and bankers use, but now Will and Gus and the guys over at Perpetual Assets are bringing it to you. So go to perpetualassets.com. All right. So here's what people were saying. Oh, by the way, the next Fed rate increase, they think are just going to like 1% now, which is still way below what inflation is going to be by then. November 1st and 2nd. So literally days before the election, the Fed's going to bump rates over 1%. That's just crazy when you think about it. Talk about a destruction for the Democrats. But hey, the Democrats will say, fuck the Fed, and it's all their fault. I would like to point out this is the high season for false flags. So get ready for whatever the crazy deep state are going to do. Just keep that in mind this whole time. And by the way, if you look at the CPI and what went up and what went down, all items, 8.2%. Look at going up is food, obviously. At 11% and 13% food away from home. Does anybody use food? And then energy commodities up 19% overall. Now look at the month for all energy. Gasoline, energy commodities, fuel oils, all of that was down. That's the reason it's kind of flat. right now, with what Saudi did, what's going on with the pipelines and all that, energy prices are going to explode. Even though they can rig them, and that's the thing. They can rig the price of oil down to zero if they want. The question is, who's in charge? Who controls the pricing right now? It's the good guys, so you will see a destruction of the Democratic Party, definitely. But probably everything. I don't think we're going to have an election, truthfully. We'll find out. Just sit here and wait as the suckers that we are. And then everything else was going up. But look at all these prices the things that really matter. Food up 11%, energy up 19%. These are the things that matter, the things that you pay money for. Energy service, electricity is up 19.8%. It's just crazy. Transportation up 14%. And what goes down, new vehicles, used vehicles. Actually, new vehicles are still about, if you look at this, if you add all this up and you divide it by how many inputs you have, that's not how they determine CPI, because that would be in the 20% range. They don't want that. The insanity of what goes on to determine consumer price index. Everything changed with Clinton. They readjusted everything, and Greenspan was the worst at telling people, okay, because the quality of steak goes up, but the size of the steak goes down, so there's a net, and because the quality is so good now, or the quality of goods, the quality of anything, we're going to put adjustments in there. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. The CPI, we all know we're paying $3, $4 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Do you remember it used to be a penny? Go look at like the early 1900s. It was a penny before the Federal Reserve came out. Was born in 1913. Coffee was a penny, and that was overpaying. That's a large coffee. Insane. It's an insane world we live in. As you can see, this is gas, petroleum, and other liquids. You can see this is turning. They're moving up again. Right here, we can see they've already moved up 0.08% in the first week. So keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on gas and oil, because by the time election comes, the good guys want the Democrats to be destroyed at the voting booth. But what does that do? The Republicans had 4 years to put the criminals in jail, and they didn't do it because half of the Republicans are criminals. So I don't know. It's getting weird. It's getting crazy. Anyway, don't forget to look at the Jenny Moonstone discussion, All Silver, Secrets Revealed, and Forgotten Silver. You can buy for cheap. Call Andy Scheckman to get what he's got. And I got him running around looking for this type of silver right now. So I don't know how cheap it is anymore, but go check that out at the roadtoruda.com. If you want to subscribe, click on subscribe today, and we are still giving away the Silver Ruda coin, the coolest coin ever made, with every private road subscription, or you can just join the public road. Put your name and email address in. Like and subscribe to this video also. It helps us spread the message. Absolutely. We're over 100,000 viewers, which is great, but they're still shadow banning everything, and I'm still limited on what I can talk to, but I'm not limited on what I can talk about on the private road at roadtoruda.com. So go check that out. Also, don't forget today, in just a couple hours, I will be on live with Jean-Claude and Will Lair to discuss, it's titled Exit Now, how to get your ass out of the system, and why now? Why now? That's going to be a big one. And I'll also talk about silver, a lot about silver. All right. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.